Hey, what's up, everybody? Back with another one. This time, doing my review for the new Netflix original series, The Umbrella Academy. Now, as far as the overall story for the show, the pacing was kind of, it was back and forth a little bit. But it did have spots where it picked up. Like most Netflix shows or shows that you stream and binge, they always have those couple of episodes where they drag. But the funny thing about this, it wasn't like whole episodes dragged. It was like only certain parts. And I think what really helped with that was the fact that this show is only 10 episodes for the first season. The 10 episodes kind of help offset that drag that you get when you watch most shows. And they have those little, you're killing me, just a little bit of filler, but not to the point where it got so annoying that I didn't want to watch the show. Because it's a lot of times you watch a lot of these streaming shows and they throw so much of that little drag and fill in it that you don't want to watch it. But this show offset that the correct way, I think, which is a pretty good step for a show that streams and only has 10 episodes. Because with the overall storyline for this first season, they gave you a lot and they left you anticipating with a lot, but you were still satisfied at the actual end. As far as the overall characters that are actually in this show, it was certain parts when they did things, and I really sat there and was like, damn, why would you even do that? But after they built most of the characters up in the show, you realize that that's pretty much who they are. And as close as you're going to get to real people, you cannot expect some people who do certain things to literally just, oh, I'm just going to overall and just stop and switch up and it's going to end. No, that was a part of it that made it a little bit interesting to see characters that are pretty much locked in their way and stubborn, like most people are, when you have to deal with them. And that was pretty interesting to see. You see it on a lot of shows, but the way they presented it on there was pretty funny to me in certain instances that left me like, damn, really, you're going to actually do that. But one thing that was also very interesting about the overall character arcs of some of the characters is the way that they reflected and showed you why the characters are the way they are or why they're doing what they're actually doing. Because some of the stuff I was like, why is this bastard this crazy? Then when they go back and explain why, which a show should always do, you actually felt like, damn, well, I can see why you went to the extreme you went to. I wouldn't do it personally, but I can see why you led yourself down that path. It did what a show is supposed to do. It's supposed to make you sympathetic towards the characters, and they did a good job on that. Even with some of the backgrounds, when you find out what's really going on towards the end, the the actions they took to safeguard others that they cared about, you couldn't really knock them for it, because at the end of the day, you would literally sit there and say, I would probably do that. Like I said before, not exactly that way, but I would probably take those same precautions to protect people, because the stakes on this particular show, I'm trying to do this without spoiling it or saying anything that might allude to it anymore. The stakes on this one, the stakes are high, and I'll leave it at that because I can't really explain anymore without actually spoiling most of the season. But the stakes are really high on this one, so you see why they do what they do, and that everybody who does things to a certain extent, they actually have them explain why they do it individually to a point, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, another thing about the show that is a big theme is family, because the premise of the show is that it was a group of children born on the same date by women who were not pregnant, who instantly became pregnant and had children, and these children were born with special abilities. So a eccentric billionaire adopts as many of the children as he can. He only ends up being able to adopt 7 of them. He takes these kids, raises them, trains them, and shows them how to use their powers. And that's how you end up with the Umbrella Academy. A billionaire adopts some kids, trains them, and teaches them how to fight crime, being that he feels that there's going to be the threat of crime and a bigger threat that might appear later on that he feels that the children might be prepared to face. Now, one thing that was very caught me off guard a little bit, but it was very welcoming and refreshing, is that this story of this actual storyline for this show is based on a comic book series, graphic novels, but I've never read those. But from just watching this show, if you like stuff like storylines like Dark Phoenix or shows like or movies like 12 Monkeys or even the Days of Future Past X-Men comic book storyline, imagine taking like X-Men, all that stuff, and then combining it into like one show, but doing it in such a way so that you don't feel like they're actually ripping from these other sources, because it still comes out very original because it's other elements of the story that makes it stand out more with the characters. I don't want to go into too much and actually spoil the season 4 because I'm not trying to spoil it. I want you to actually go check out the show and watch it if you have Netflix or if you borrow somebody's account. Watch the show. But it does have a lot of comic book elements to it. So if you do like comic books and you like sci-fi, this does a very interesting blend of those genres together and makes for a very unique show that stands out from a lot of stuff that's out there. Now, like I said before, the overall character arcs in the story is that it's a guy, he adopts a bunch of kids that were born on the same day that have superpowers, and he trains them. So the show starts off with a funeral. And of course, if you've seen the trailer or seen any information for the show, the funeral is for their father, who is the billionaire that adopted them. They all come back together. You meet the characters. You see what's going on with their lives. And through the first couple episodes, you get some background information on them. And you get some examples of what their abilities and powers are. And it's 6 of the kids initially that you find out at the beginning that have powers, and then they also have a 7th child, which is played by Ellen Page's character, who is their sister Vanya, and she doesn't have any powers. She's the odd duck out in the family who doesn't have any abilities. She can't really do most of the stuff that her adopted siblings can do, but she sticks around. She eventually later on writes a book about the family, which kind of outs their secrets and a lot of information about them that kind of makes her like the black sheep of the family. So they kind of push her to the side, some of the characters, and they really don't pay attention to her because, well, when they grew up, she didn't have any abilities, so they thought she didn't fit in that much. But besides that, back to like the format for this season, the 10 episodes, it can be improved on as far as what the story goes for, the overall story of it. But as far as plotting, building up certain things they got to quickly, certain things they dragged on because it is a season. You got a story, you got to drag it out. But it was certain elements that they built on when it got towards like the last, I'll say, maybe like the last 4 or 3 episodes. That's when it picked up as far as like you finding out more information and background stuff, because the show involves so many different elements that you don't expect to see in the show. But if you go back to the references that I said from 12 Monkeys, Dark Phoenix, and like Days of Future Past and like stuff like that, it kind of tells you where the story is going to go. I'm not going to spoil the story. Watch the damn show. But as far as what they did with this first season, I really enjoyed it, and a lot of the overall character arcs. One thing I hope they do, if this gets renewed for season 2, which I'm pretty sure it probably will be getting renewed, is that they show more information on some of the supporting characters. It's 2 characters on the show named Hazel and Cha-Cha, and one of the characters is played by Mary J. Blige. The thing that I found interesting about those 2 is that I want to see, when they do the second season, if they elaborate more on the background on how they got to the point where they get to on this show doing the job that they actually do. I think that'd be pretty interesting. Now, as far as the special effects in the show, at the beginning I was like, we probably won't even get too much in there, but it got to those last 4 or 5 episodes. Yeah, they picked up on those special effects. Like in the first couple episodes, you see like wide shots, a couple of CGI things, but I did not realize when it got towards the end that they would actually push it that far as the special effects go, which I thought was pretty on point. Another thing about the special effects, they had a character on there named Pogo. Hopefully I'm remembering that correctly. The CJ on that character was top notch. Like I was like, damn, I ain't know they were gonna actually spend that much money on this. But yeah, they didn't hold back that on that, at least on that CGI on that character. That was a fully CGI character from what I can tell, at least, and they did a pretty damn good job on that. So that's about it for that. But as far as the next season, it it can, with this show, the way they set this up, this arc, it can only go up from here. If I had to judge this season, the first season overall, I would say it's a very good show on its way to being great. It's not perfect. No show is perfect. But if I had to score this from like maybe a 1 to 10, it'll probably be like a 7.2, 7.5. It was good. It's worth watching, and hopefully we get some more of it because, yeah, I got to see what happens after the season finale for this season at least, because that pricked up pretty good. If anything, this might actually push me more to go check out the source material that it was actually based on, because it's a pretty good show. Do I recommend it? Yes. Watch it. If you like comic books, sci-fi shows, anything that's like team-based, you'll like it. But otherwise than that, that's it for my review for the first season of the Netflix original series Umbrella Academy. So I recommend it. Watch it. Check it out if you get a chance. If you don't have Netflix, use somebody else's account. You know what I'm talking about. Otherwise than that, I really enjoyed the show, especially the last couple episodes, because it really picked up and went there. I didn't think it was going to go where it went, but it actually went there. You got an overall feeling like, oh, it's going to do this to do that. But it was one part towards the end, and I was like, oh, they're just going to, oh, no, they're going to do that. And I was actually very happy that they actually turned it that way. So watch the show, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I tried to be as spoiler-free as I could, at least with not giving away too much information, so when you actually do watch it, you can enjoy it. But otherwise than that, let me know in the comment section below if you've watched the series. Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Have you read the graphic novel? Did you plan on watching it when you get some time? Or are you going to binge it? Because I binged it. I literally sat and watched all 10 episodes, so there you have it. Otherwise than that, I will catch you all on the next one. All right, everybody.